We'll have our Pledge of Allegiance by Jonathan Nelson, Marine Corps Detachment League.
Present. Colors.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Carry. Colors. Ready. Cut. Mark time. March. Right turn. March. Forward. March.
I'd like to call on Mr. Mike Smith to give our invocation.
Please pray with me. Father, we thank you for this day that you've given us and for this special occasion that we've gathered here today. We're thankful for all the military people that have served, the men and women throughout the years, but today is a special day. We honor those that have served their country and given their life for their country, the last full measure of their life, the total commitment defending our freedoms. We lift their families up this day, Father, the Gold Star mothers, the Gold Star families, and I pray that you would wrap your loving arms around them, that you would give them peace and comfort that can only come from you. And Father, we pray for those that are in service now, both home and away, and I pray, God, that you would protect them, put a hedge of protection around them, support and strengthen their families while they are deployed, and strengthen them, Father, as only you can. Father, we know that you founded this country. We founded it on faith in you. Our rock is in you and in Christ, Father. In God we trust, and that has not changed. So, Father, thank you for the military, for the foundation and their families that support this nation. And I pray, God, that you would be glorified and that those that served would be honored this day. I ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Thank you, Scott McAlilly. My name's Dennis Nelson. I'm your MC for this dedication event. I was elected to the Ball Ground City Council in 2021 and currently serve as the Mayor Pro Tem. So on behalf of Ball Ground Mayor Rick Roberts and my fellow City Council members who are all here, welcome to Ball Ground. Some quick housekeeping issues. The program has changed since yesterday. Our keynote speaker, Major General John King, has been called to duty in the wake of Hurricane Helena. He happens to also be the State of Georgia Insurance and Fire Safety Commissioner. If you were watching Governor Kemp on TV last night talking about the disaster areas, John King was standing to his side. He really, really wanted to be here. But as you know, this nasty storm came through late Thursday and early Friday, causing deaths and widespread property damage, so he's flying down to Valdosta this morning with Governor Kemp. But hey, that's okay, because we lined up another great speaker to take his place. Also, a program change. Diane Hunter, President-elect of the Georgia Botanical Gardens Club, has also been added for some brief comments. Give you a little bit of information about Ball Ground. We have a 2024 population of 3,228. Ball ground is currently growing at a rate of 6.22% annually. We have homes in the city ranging from the 300s to nearly $2 million. Nobody would have known that if you've known ball ground for this many years would have ever expected that. The town is growing. It's of course, in Cherokee County here, and is considered one of the best places to live in Georgia. The name of ball ground is the survival of Indian days, when the site of the present town was used by the Cherokees for their national pastime, ball play. The several hills on which the town is built sweep up from a broad level space to the south, probably the identical tract on which the Cherokees won a game of ball from their southern neighbors, the Creek Indians, for the prize of 1,000 square miles of land. That's where ball ground got its name. The city has a spectacular 4th of July fireworks show. It attracts 3 times our population, maybe even more. If you've seen the fireworks show, you'll agree it is absolutely spectacular. It rivals anything that I've seen anywhere else. We also have festivals, concerts, and events throughout the year, and all are at no charge to anybody who comes over here. I gotta tell you that we love our city. We love our special town. We're a city of history, a city of change, a city of exciting events year-round, a city of extraordinary service to our citizens, and a city with extraordinary employees committed to that service. I'd like to now call up Karen Hawkins, President, Ball Ground Garden Club, to recognize some special guests.
Good morning, everybody. We're so glad to have all of you here. Even if some of you practically had to swim here or dodge a tree or two. We're so glad that you were able to come and be with us this morning. And we want to welcome each and every one of you for this special occasion. Before we get started, I want to give you a brief history of the Ball Ground Garden Club and this botanical garden. The very name, Anetsagada Ball Ground Garden Club, Anetsagada, literally means ball ground, hence the name. And that is the name in the Cherokee language. Our garden club was organized in 1951 with 29 members. And as Dennis was talking about a growth, today we have 72 members and counting. The garden club belongs to the National Garden Club, the Deep South region, the Garden Club of Georgia, the Garden Club Council of Cherokee County, and we are an all-volunteer organization. And I want to tell you, we have some of the best people ever, the hardest working. When the last raindrop fell yesterday, we had a convergence of members here working hard to pick up sticks and try to make it look presentable for you today. And I can't thank them enough for their dedication and their hard work and what it takes to keep this garden so that we can all enjoy it. In 2008, we assisted the Cherokee Council with dedicating the Blue Star marker at the Georgia National Cemetery in Canton, which we still help maintain today. In 2012, we assisted with fundraising for the Historic Landscapes and Gardens Grant Fund, raising over $9,000. And in 2015, we created this botanical garden, which includes a Rosalind Carter butterfly trail marker, butterfly garden, Japanese, bog, herb, native garden, Four Seasons garden, and many more gardens within the gardens. And we love our community as well. And we're very involved in many of the activities and are so happy to partner with a lot of the businesses and with the city. Ball Ground was the first in Cherokee County to be named a Tree City USA. We celebrate each Arbor Day with planting trees. This year it was pink dogwoods, courtesy of Mayor Rick Roberts. We kick off each spring with our annual council tea in the garden, celebrating Garden Week in Georgia. And in May, we have our huge plant sale and festival, raising money to help maintain our botanical garden, for scholarships, and to help with projects at the Senior Center, Library, and the STEM Academy, and several local charities. In June, we celebrate National Garden Week. In October, we have a Halloween trunk or treat in the garden. And in December, we have our annual, this year will be our second annual, tree lighting with Christmas carols and hot chocolate and cookies. And we participate with a float in the Toys for Tots parade here in Ball Ground. It's the largest Christmas parade in Georgia.
Wow.
Our club has received many state and national awards throughout the years, including Laurel District Club of the Year in 2020, Best of Cherokee 2024, which we won, Best Park first place, Best Festival second place, and Best Place to Take a Tourist third place. And I'm so proud to be a part of this wonderful organization. And now I would like to recognize our very special guests who are with us today. Some of our guests who could not be here because of our uninvited guest, Hurricane Helene. We have President-elect Diane Hunter, Laurel District Director Cheryl Briscoe, Blue and Gold Star Family Markers co-chair, let's see, Paula was going to be here, but Paula couldn't be here with us today. But we have our other co-chair, Blue and Gold Star Families Memorial Marker co-chair, Catherine Coffey. We have Blue Star Mothers of America President, Georgia Chapter, Sharon Cachell, several members of the Sons and the Daughters of the American Revolution, and several Blue and Gold Star families as well. And now we would like to invite Diane Hunter to come up and speak for us.
Thank you, Karen. Can we lower that a little bit? I am Diane Hunter. I'm president-elect of the Garden Club of Georgia, and I am very grateful. Actually, it sounds weird, but I enjoy this so much that I'm just really happy I could take Lisa's place when she got sidelined by Helene. This is a wonderful event. It honors the men and women who've given their lives in some cases and have given their careers in a lot of cases to our country, to defend our country, and we are so happy to be a supporter of this program. So on behalf of the National Garden Clubs, Inc., the Garden Club of Georgia, I'd like to thank the Ball Ground Garden Club, Annette Sagata, which I think that's a fabulous name, and for all your work that you do to place them, that you've done to do the markers at this location. We are very proud of our long history sponsoring Blue and Gold Star markers, and we support our clubs and we encourage the warm embrace of this program over the years. The marker program honors all men and women past, present, and future who serve in the armed forces. The program began with the planting of 8,000 dogwood trees by the New Jersey Council of Garden Clubs in 1944. It was a living memorial to veterans of World War II. In 1945, the National Garden Clubs, Inc. adopted the program and began a Blue Star Highway system, marker system that covers thousands of miles across the United States. In May of 2015, a Gold Star Families marker was added to the program to honor those who've lost their lives or the families who've lost loved ones during any war or conflict. Since the program's inception in 1944, clubs have dedicated over 3,500 markers along U.S. highways, national cemeteries, veterans facilities, parks, and civic locations. To date, Georgia has 178 markers throughout the state, and garden clubs continue to sponsor and support this worthwhile project. The program continues as a fitting tribute to the members of the armed forces. So I would like to thank you all again for inviting us, and I know Lisa is really sad that she had to miss this, but I'm very grateful that you asked me to participate. Thanks, Lee.
I'll tell you, I appreciate the comments for the workers at the garden club. They were here yesterday picking up sticks, leaves, everything that the hurricane tried to throw at us. They did a great job cleaning up the gardens, and they're really a good force to take care of this property. fill in for Major General King is Staff Sergeant John Blair. Retired Staff Sergeant John Blair joined the United States Marine Corps in 1966 with the Department. Oh, I'm sorry. Humidity papers are sticking together. He went to Vietnam in late October of 1967 through 1968. His tour of duty was spent in the mountains of North Vietnam along the DMZ in all of 1968. He was in Khe Sanh during the Tet Offensive and Siege of Khe Sanh. For his heroic actions on the battlefield, Staff Sergeant Blair was awarded one of the nation's highest medals, the Silver Star. His other awards include the Navy Achievement Medal for Valor, Vietnam Service Medal with 4 stars, Vietnam Campaign Medal with device, Combat Action Medal, and the Meritorious Unit Citation. Retired Staff Sergeant Blair was inducted into the 2016 class of the Georgia Military Veterans Hall of Fame for his heroism and numerous acts of selfless bravery as an infantry squad leader in Vietnam. After his military service, Staff Sergeant Blair, along with his wife Diane of 53 years, have resided in Canton, where he continues to lead an exemplary life of character as a proud American, veteran, and a patriot. Mr. Blair.
Well, good morning. How's everybody today? Well, I tell you what, it's an honor to be here, and I appreciate it very much. It's really a special honor, and the reason is I get to stand in for a major general as an NCO. So that's probably one of the highlights of my life. I always wanted to become an officer, but this is close to it. This day, we honor the Blue Star and Gold Star families in dedication of the memorial markers. We thank Botanical Garden Club and the community for making this possible. This is such a beautiful place. Thank you so much for inviting us. I would like to thank, I probably won't be able to thank everybody. I wrote some people down that I'd like to thank. I mean, when Dawn and Dennis called me yesterday and asked me to fill in, I didn't know whether I could really do this or not, because I've always given speeches on Veterans Day and Memorial Day and things like that, but the Blue Star and Gold Star family is probably one of my best honors that I had to do, so thank you for inviting me. But I would like to thank Dennis and his wife Dawn, Karen Hawkins, president of Botanical Garden Club, Lisa Hall, president of Georgia Garden Club, Miss Cheryl Briscoe, Laurel District Director, and Miss Paula Cahill, who I assume is not be here, as co-chairman of the Blue Star and Gold Star Memorial Markers. And most of all, my wife Diane of 54 years. I wouldn't be here without her. I'll never forget that. Do we have in services? Do we have do we have some Army people here? Raise your hand. Who's from the Army? What about Navy? Air Force? All right, Marines. Well, all right. I always like to start off with something pretty funny, but I'm gonna. I don't know if you realize how much Army, Navy, and Marines and Air Force bicker so much. The reason is we don't speak the same language. For example, here's what happens when each branch of service are told to secure the building. The Army will post guards around the building to secure the building. The Navy will turn out the lights and lock the doors to secure the building. The Marines will kill everyone inside and set up a command post to secure the building. The Air Force will take out a 5-year lease with an option to buy at the end of the lease. When I received a call from Don, it was to be keynote speaker. It was a special event. I asked Miss Nelson, what is this special event? Miss Nelson stated it is unveiling the dedication of the Blue Star and Gold Star families memorial markers. I asked myself, is this something I feel I can do? I have given many speeches for Memorial Day, Veteran Day, and other cities, plus high schools, elementary school, and senior centers. They all related to veterans. This is the first for me to speak about such a personal and warming event. Again, I am truly honored. I promise to do my best on such a short notice. By the way, if you look at this paper, I might have a lot of pieces of paper, but I had to do it in big letters so I could read it. To begin with, I want to give you a little bit of history about Georgia. Did you know Georgia is one of the highest states that make up the majority of the military? Georgia is also one of the 5 states that make up 50% of the active men and women serving in the military. Roughly only 3% of the people served in the military, roughly there's only 3% of people serving in the military. Some say less, which it probably is less at this time. On Vietnam, only 29% of the Vietnam veterans are alive today. Vietnam is the last traditional war this country will ever participate, where boots are on the ground, where we see the enemy, we shoot them like cowboys and Indians, but technology has taken over that. So we understand what the future is. As you know, I am a Marine Corps Vietnam veteran that survived a difficult war. I was in quite a few battles in North Vietnam during the year 1968. In 1968, the United States had more casualties and lost more men than any other year. The Tet Offenses, the Siege of Khe Sanh, Battle of Hue, Battle of Foxtrot Ridge, and many, many more battles in 1968. I was a young 21-year-old Marine Corps grunt with an MOS of 0311, which is a rifleman, which my fellow Marine Corps buddies will understand what 0311 means, which is understand as a code. I can honestly say I was fortunate enough to sleep under the stars every night in the mountains and the valleys of North Vietnam, which is called the DMZ area. We only engaged with North Vietnamese soldiers. As some of you know the history of Vietnam, down south below the DMZ and below Hue City and below Dong Ha, mainly you fought people that worked in the fields every day and would come in and come out and fight at night. They call them black pajama type. As there was a lot of bombs and a lot of stuff to how do I explain it? As booby traps and things like that. We didn't have any of that where I was. Where we were, we fought the North Vietnamese army. We fought people with uniform. We were in what we call a free fire zone. In other words, Dennis said I could be sitting here talking. If that bush moved back there, we could turn around and shoot at the bush, throw a grenade. Nobody would think twice of it. There was no civilians up there in North Vietnam, and there was. If you look at the history of Vietnam, you don't see a lot of reporters report of what went on in North Vietnam because the reporters weren't allowed up there. The furthest they could go would be to Hue City, and that's where Walter Cronkite went. I lost a lot of my Marine buddies, get wounded, and died. I have 19 on the Vietnam Wall and panel 35 that I knew. That's a lot of Marines. At times I held them in my arms, praying with them, and the majority would ask for their mother. I did all the time. I prayed every day. Believe me, if whoever was over there didn't pray every day, then they weren't Christians. Because God saved me. I watched a lot of, I would say to the Lord, if you get me out of this one, I will never complain about taking out the trash or cutting the grass. I can honestly say, I did say that. I contacted a few of the parents to say they knew your son. I knew your son. I will never forget and don't want to forget. God was with me every day. He's the only reason I am here today. In saying this, yes, I qualify today, this Blue Star Family Week, and Sunday, I believe, is Gold Star Family Day. Like I stated, I am humbled and so honored to be here today. My mother was a single mom. My father, retired Army officer, passed away when I was 16. My mother was a strong woman. When I decided to join the Marines, it devastated her because the Vietnam War was in full swing. Knowing what the Blue Star families were doing for military families with sons and daughters who are actively in the military would have been a blessing for my mother. She needed the support and she needed the fellowship that the Blue Star families offer. I truly wish the Blue Star families existed when I was in Vietnam. My mother needed this support during my time in Vietnam. My mother would have been proud to be a member of the Blue Star families. As all the wonderful Blue Star families have done years, my mother would have volunteered to do whatever it takes. Military families have to make immense sacrifices. I was what you called an Army brat for 22 years. In a way, it was great childhood, and there at times I hated being an Army child. When my father had to be transferred overseas and we had to move to him to another country, it was especially hard. Especially when I'm making friends in school or involved in activities outside of school. It was very hard for me to leave. It was hard at times when your father's not there for support. If my mother was a member of the Blue Star families, our life would have been better. I know you have someone to talk to and to provide the support we needed. It's a blessing. It really is. Blue Star families are to be honored for their sacrifice and contribution to military families. Blue Star families provide the resources for families that we have a son and daughter on active duty serving in this country. We owe the deepest gratitude and respect to Blue Star families and Gold Star families. We need to continue to provide the resources they need to meet the challenges of the military family. It's so important that we do that. Let us never forget the Gold Star families who lost their loved ones in war. Your sacrifice will never go unnoticed. In closing, I encourage the Blue Star and Gold Star families to keep hanging those banners in the window. This country needs to be reminded of the values of patriotism and service, especially in today's world. We need that service. We need that patriotism. I am humbled and proud to be a war veteran. God bless you all. God bless your families and friends. God bless America. Thank you.
What's that Marine thing? Adapt and overcome. He whipped up a speech in no time at all. It was a little bit outside of his topic area, but he handled it great.
Thank you.
You know, and that's one thing about the Marines. We're a Marine Corps family too. You know, our son is
John.
over here. Yeah, did you meet him?
Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot of Nelsons involved in this show here today. Next person I'm going to call up is Dee Dee Nelson, Diane Nelson. I've known her my entire life. She's my sister. She retired from the United States Department of Justice after serving 34 years. She has more than 50 years of experience in the criminal justice field, including as a deputy sheriff in the Cobb County Sheriff's Office. She continues to work on violence reduction initiatives with the Department of Justice post-retirement, and she also volunteers with dog rescue organizations. She is a huge dog rescue proponent. I don't know, how many dogs do you have at home?
I only have 2 right now. But
Okay, you're
I've
down
had
a
as
little
many
bit, huh?
as 6.
If anybody needs a dog to go to a
Yeah,
foster
if you
home.
need a dog.
Dee Dee is the granddaughter of John and Lois Nelson, longtime residents of Ball Ground. She is the great-granddaughter of Steve and Minnie Lee Sosby Nelson, and proudly displays the Blue Star flag that was hand-sewn by her great-grandmother and my great-grandmother, representing 7 of the 9 Nelson children who were serving our country during World War II. Dee Dee? I'll turn this around.
Okay.
I too have a lot of pages with big type, but I'm a Nelson, so I will talk for a while. Just a warning. Good morning. I'm so proud to be here to talk about the Blue Star flag and to show you the handmade flag that our great-grandmother, Minnie Lee Sosby, made. Minnie was married to Stephen Tate Nelson, and they had a total of 9 children, including my grandfather, our grandfather, I keep saying my, it's our grandfather, John Frank Nelson, and he and his wife Lois Wheeler Nelson lived in Ball Ground in the later years of their life. And I used to come up here every weekend in my 20s and 30s and So Ball Ground is a very, very special place to me, and I have a lot of fond memories of being here. As I said, Steve and Minnie Sosby had 9 children. One of the children was from Steve Tate Nelson when he was married to Ida Jane Smith, who later became Ida Byers. And then with Minnie, he had 8 more children. So during World War II, as Dennis said, 7 of the 9 children were serving in the various branches of the military, and all served on active duty during a time of war. And can you imagine that? I mean, 7 of your 9 children were serving overseas in combat zones, and as a mother, I can only imagine, what that was like. I'm going to tell you a little bit of history about the Blue Star flag, and like all history, sometimes things have been rewritten along the way. So I'm going to tell you as best I was able to do research. With my job in the Department of Justice, I did a lot of research. So this is what I thought was important about it. Credit for creation of the flag is given to a businessman and a veteran whose name was Captain Robert Casert. He was with the 5th Ohio Infantry, but there's also another version that says that Captain James Garfield McElroy said that he came up with the idea of the flag, and that Captain Casert didn't. But Captain Casert said, nope, I was the first to think about it. And regardless, he was the first one to get it patented, so he gets the credit. He's usually considered to be the creator. And he did this because he had 2 sons who were serving in active duty in World War I. This flag was created in 1917, and the story goes that he was injured in an accident, and he wanted to keep himself busy, but he also wanted to do something as kind of a way to distract his wife from worrying about the boys who were serving overseas. And so the flag quickly became the symbol of a family who had children who were serving. The Blue Star flag is the official banner authorized by the Department of Defense for display by families who have members serving in the armed forces during any period of war or hostilities in which the United States is engaged. And according to the DoD, families of service members have the option of displaying the flag in a window for the duration of any conflict involving the United States. The flag is sometimes referred to as the service flag, and at one point it was known as the Sons in Service flag. And I'll talk about that again in just a minute. There was even a song written in 1918 about the Blue Star flag, and I will tell you right now, I will not torture you because I can't sing a lick, but I thought some of the words were kind of special, and the song goes like this: there are stars in the high heavens shining with a promise of hope in their light. There are stars in the field of old glory, the emblem of honor and right. But no star ever shone with more brightness, I know, than the one for my boy or the sea. There's a little blue star in the window, and it means all the world to me. And I thought that was kind of, a neat little thing. So, about the flag itself, the flag has 1 or more blue stars on a white background. These look like they're silver, but they're blue. They were blue. They're a little faded. It's, this flag is a few years old, so it's edged on all 4 sides with a red border, and the star obviously represents a loved one who is in service, either overseas or at home, serving in a time of war or hostilities. And traditionally, the flag hangs in the window of the residence of the families, and it's hung facing outward so that it's seen by people who go by the house. Additional stars can be added if there are more than one family member serving, and it's definitely an indoor flag. This is not an outdoor flag. The Department of Defense specifies the immediate family members who are authorized to display the flag, and it's a variety of people, the most close family members. And it should only be displayed in the residence of a family who is authorized to do so. And that's going to be somebody who has a family member serving. During World War II, the practice of displaying the Blue Star flag became much more widespread. And most of the flags were handmade by mothers across the nation. And one of the most famous ones of the blue flags that was flown was flown by the parents of the 5 Sullivan brothers, and I don't know if you know anything about them, but they all served in the Navy, and all 5 of them were killed on the USS Juneau. So that was, at that time, one of the biggest flags, one of the flags with the most stars in it. They were not actually very popular during the Vietnam War, but they've come back into use during the first Gulf War, Operation Desert Storm. In 1966, the Department of Defense revised the specifications for the design, manufacture, and display of the service flag. And finally, and I think this rule has been relaxed a little bit, but the Department of Defense said that the display of a Blue Star flag should only be authorized during times of war. And although today, Blue Star flags may be purchased through the internet or at stores, and yes, you can get a Blue Star flag on Amazon delivered to you the next day. To me, the most meaningful ones were these, the ones that were made by hand, and especially by mothers. So here's my great-grandmother's flag. My father, Johnny Nelson, who also was a Marine, he made this case to try to preserve it and try to display it. And as you can see, if you look closely at it, you can see each tiny little stitch that she made. And as resilient and tough as I remember my great-grandma Nelson of being, I can only think about like the emotions that she had as she was making those stitches and sewing yet one more star onto this flag as another one of her children left. So as you can see, this Blue Star flag has 7 stars, and yes, that means 7 of her 9 children were serving in the military during World War II. And I should note that as women hand stitch these flags, sometimes those rules got a little bit relaxed too. Sometimes they were very regulated and they really reflected the regulation, and then sometimes they indicated a personal choice. For example, I have read that officially you're only supposed to have a maximum of 5 flags, 5 stars on a Blue Star flag. So clearly my great-grandmother followed her head and her heart and made sure that all of her children were represented, and I know other mothers did the same. Despite the variations that may exist, the Blue Star, the purpose of the Blue Star always remains. It symbolizes hope and pride. And please indulge me while I tell you about the people who are represented by these stars. These are my family members, Dennis's family members, and we're very proud of our history and very proud of our military history and our family. So when I look at this flag, and I keep this in my house, and when I look at this flag, I don't see 7 stars. I see my great uncles and my grandfather, and I wanted to kind of honor them a little bit by telling you about them. So my grandfather, John Frank Nelson, was a hospital aide 2nd class in the U.S. Navy. My great uncles who were serving were Master Sergeant William Harry Nelson, serving at Elgin Field, Staff Sergeant Steve Nelson Jr., serving in England in the Army. Corporal Henry Woodrow Nelson was in the U.S. Army also. He served in Italy. And Lieutenant Robert Nelson and Private First Class Wallace Nelson were both in the U.S. Army Air Corps. They were serving in the South and the Southwest Pacific. So if you were keeping track, and you probably were not, that was 6. I am so proud to tell you about my heroine and my idol, my Aunt Suda Comfort Nelson. She represents the 7th star. Aunt Sue followed the American armies into Belgium and was there when the Germans broke through. She was serving in the U.S. Army Nurse Corps. She was a lieutenant, which is pretty unusual back then. I think during World War II, I think there were a total of about 6,000 women who were ultimately achieved rank. The hospital she was assigned to in Liege suffered a direct bomb hit, and 2 of the buildings were demolished. Aunt Sue was severely cut in the face by flying glass and debris, and she was ultimately awarded the Purple Heart. Later, she treated American soldiers who escaped the massacre that occurred at Christmas in 1944, when the Germans shot down a group of Americans, and only a few of those survived and escaped. But what I'm most proud of is Aunt Sue was in the first Corps of Nurses to land at Normandy after D-Day. And these nurses who were brought in to help the men who had been injured, they had to stay on that ship for 3 days because the seas were so bad. And all they had to eat during that entire time was bread and butter. So I remember when I mentioned that it was one time called the Sons of Service flag. I don't agree with that. Yeah, no. Women like Aunt Sue is the reason that name never stuck, I think, and rightly so. Remember that although women in the military were rare during World War II, they were there. There were 350,000 women who fought in World War II in the branches of the military, compared to 16.5 million men. So basically, only about 2% of the people serving overseas in our service were women. But their contributions cannot be underestimated, and as a woman who has made it in the law enforcement field, I'm particularly proud of what my Aunt Sue did, and like I said, she was my idol. So, with that, I thank you for taking the time to listen to this little bit of history of the Blue Star flag. In my view, turning a Blue Star flag into a symbol of memorialization was and still is a very profound act. And I hope you can kind of feel the pride that I have, that we all have for our family and for our family history. This Blue Star flag is probably, or at least in my view, it's our family's greatest treasure. And I truly pray we never have to display a blue flag in our window again, but I'm going to be the first to proudly do so if we do. So thank you very much for this. And I do need to apologize to you because I'm going to scoot out of here. In addition to this, I have a 4-year-old's birthday party to attend. My other brother's granddaughter, her party started at 10:30 in Alpharetta, so I would love to stay and hear more, but I really do need to, how do you explain it to a 4-year-old, right? But thank you very much.
Our next speaker, Lisa Jenkins, has been a dedicated member of the military community throughout her adult life. At 20 years old, she married Fred Jenkins, who enlisted in the Army in 1987, marking the beginning of their journey as a Blue Star family. As a military wife and mother of 5 boys and 1 daughter, Lisa raised her family within the Army community. In 2004, during Operation Iraqi Freedom, Fred was injured while serving with the 3rd Infantry Division as a tanker. His military career ended with his retirement in 2005. Following in their prayers' footsteps, all 6 of their children chose to enlist in the United States Army, making Lisa a proud Blue Star mother. Tragically, on July 6, 2015, the Jenkins family's lives were forever changed. A knock on the door from a casualty officer and a chaplain brought the devastating news that their son, Specialist Frederick Jenkins III, had died. In that very moment, Lisa became a Gold Star mother, and she found a new purpose. Since 2019, Lisa has served as the president of the Department of Georgia American Gold Star Mothers. She has tirelessly volunteered in the community, supporting veterans and Gold Star families. Lisa is honored to speak at the Blue and Gold Star marker dedication, sharing her journey and unwavering commitment to the military community, and we're so thankful that you're here.
Thank you so much. Good morning. I am honored to be here with you today at the dedication of the Gold Star and Blue Star markers, which symbolize the enduring commitment and sacrifices of our military families. Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge our distinguished guests who have joined us today. A special thank you to Dennis Nelson, Mayor Pro Tem, and also the Ball Ground Garden Club, and my Georgia American Gold Star Mother sisters that are here. Really appreciate that. I would also like to extend my gratitude to other esteemed guests with us Though time does not permit me to name each of you individually, please know that your presence is appreciated. My journey also, let me stop. Staff Sergeant John Blair.
Thank you.
Thank you, family.
Thank you.
Thank you. My journey as a Blue Star a Blue Star wife began in 1988 after my husband Fred joined the Army in 1987. Together we began a life filled with service, sacrifice, and strength. We raised 6 children in the Army community, each of them becoming what we lovingly call Army brats, or Gold Star kids. Blue Star kids. The military provided more than just a place to live. It gave us a village, a safe place, a community of caring families from all walks of life. In that village, our children grew up strong. They rode their bikes in the neighborhood, attended sleepovers, and we had block parties that made us all feel like family. Blue Star children are incredibly resilient. They adapt to hardships many can't imagine, like seeing a parent off to a deployment, not knowing when or if they will see them again. Sometimes all they have is a brief goodbye and a hope for a future hug. It's a heavy burden, but one that these children, carry with grace and strength. For the Blue Star spouse, we hold everything together during those long deployments. We persevere, juggling the responsibilities of both parents while staying strong for our children. This was my life for many years as a Blue Star wife. As our children grew, they followed their father's path. Our oldest son was the first to enlist in the Army, and one by one, all of our children joined, each one choosing to serve in the Army. This marked the beginning of my journey as a Blue Star mother. My husband Fred was fine until our youngest, his only daughter, enlisted. He was on the edge while she was in basic training, with hard liquor being his comfort, until she qualified at the range. She was a prissy one after all, having been in beauty pageants, but she proved to be just as tough as her brothers. It was a difficult time seeing Fred off to deployments and war, but it's more than difficult sending your child to war. It's a mixture of pride and at the same time, a nightmare. My journey as a Gold Star mother began on July 6, 2015. That was the day we received a knock on the door, the moment that forever changed our lives. While I won't go into the details of our son's death, I will speak of his life. Specialist Frederick Jenkins III, our paratrooper, loved his family, his job, his battle buddies. He was dedicated, driven, and always had a smile for those around him. His life has given me purpose. In 2019, I took on the role of President of the Department of Georgia American Gold Star Mothers. It was then that a small group of us mothers came together, determined to serve in honor of the lives that our children lived. We are more than just a group of grieving mothers. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization that works to honor the service and sacrifice of all who have worn the uniform. Our national organization is located in Washington, D.C., established in 1928. Members include mothers as well as associate members, fathers, stepfathers, siblings, and grandparents, all of whom have experienced the loss of a loved one in service. We honor all branches of service and all manners of death. What sets our organization apart is that we do not define Gold Star solely by death, but by service. Every service member who raised their right hand to protect our country wrote a blank check payable with their lives. They are equally honored, regardless of how they gave that ultimate sacrifice. Today's dedication of the Gold Star and Blue Star markers is a testament to the strength and resilience of military families. The Blue Star represents those families still serving, facing the uncertainties and challenges of military life. The gold star is a symbol of the ultimate sacrifice, reminds us of families who have lost their loved ones but continue to honor their service through their own perseverance. These markers will stand as lasting symbols, not just of sacrifice, but of community, resilience, and honor. To all the Blue Star families, we see you. Your strength is unmatched. To all Gold Star families, we stand with you. United in love and pride we have for our fallen heroes. Thank you for having me. I'm so sorry. Thank you for having me. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless America.
Just about reached that point where we're going to unveil and dedicate the markers. I'd like to call up Ms. Cheryl Briscoe, Laurel District Director, introduce her and let her have a few words here.
Good afternoon. Paula Cahill was to be here today. She did not have a weather problem. Unfortunately, her husband passed away Sunday. So she wanted to be here but could not. So I'm here to say those things that she would like to say to you. We've talked about the Blue Star Marker program of the National Garden Clubs Incorporated. It was initiated in 1945 to honor men and women serving in the U.S. Armed Forces during World War II. It was adopted by the National Garden Clubs Incorporated in 1946. And you've heard about the Blue Star. The name was chosen for the Blue Star on flags displayed in the windows that we heard about today. The designation of Blue Star highways was achieved through petitions to the state legislatures and in cooperation with the Department of Transportation. A large metal Blue Star memorial highway marker was designed by a former National Garden Club president to be placed at the appropriate locations along the way. Blue Star memorial markers extend thousands of miles across the U.S., Alaska, and Hawaii, and honor all members serving in the armed forces of the U.S., past, present, and future. Memorial markers and byway markers have been added to the program along with highway markers. These markers continue to be dedicated each year on highways at veterans facilities, on military bases, national cemeteries, parks, and civic and historic sites, showing our appreciation to those who defend our country. The program has continued all through the years to the present and is a fitting tribute to the armed forces. In May 2015, I think we may have said this already, a Gold Star Families marker was added to the program. It has a gold star in place of the Blue Star and states, a tribute to Gold Star families whose loved one paid the ultimate price defending the United States of America. The Gold Star Family's mission is to offer, honor, hope, and healing through remembering fallen heroes. While their hero paid the ultimate price and sacrifice for our freedom, survivors live daily with the pain of that sacrifice. The Gold Star Families marker lets them know that their sacrifice and their loved one will not be forgotten. Okay. We're here to pay tribute to our armed forces, and while we go about our daily lives or while we sleep, the men and women in our armed forces fly our skies, sail our seas, and guard our shores, ensuring our safety. They stand ready at a moment's notice to defend our country. We must not forget them, and we do not. We remember with every step of the honor guard at the tomb of the unknown soldier. We remember with every drumbeat on the 4th of July. We pledge allegiance to our flag, and we remember at the sound of reveille. We remember, and as the last lingering note of taps resounds in the distance, we remember. And remembering today, we dedicate this Blue Star byway marker in respect and honor of all those men and women who have served, are now serving, and will serve in the armed forces of this great nation. It is with pride and appreciation that the National Garden Clubs Incorporated and the Garden Club of Georgia Incorporated joins with Ball Ground Garden Club, Annette Sagada, to perpetuate the Blue Star Memorial Program with this marker, which stands as a symbol for all to see, lest we forget those who help to keep us free. And Karen, I have a certificate. This is the Blue Star. This is the certificate from the National Garden Clubs to Annette Sagada Garden Club. On the occasion of a Blue Star Marker dedication, we thank you for honoring our country's men and women who bravely offer their lives for the presentation of our nation's freedom. And next, our dedication for the Gold Star families byway markers. A hero is someone who's given his or her life to something bigger than oneself. We will never forget and always remember. We've come together today to honor our Gold Star families whose loved ones made the ultimate sacrifice while serving our country in the United States Armed Forces. The mission is to offer honor, hope, and healing through remembering fallen heroes by coming together, by sharing their pain and sorrow, to offer support and understanding, and to encourage families to continue to live, not just exist, as they navigate their lives in today's world. Let us remember the sacrifice of Gold Star families whose children will never know their mother or their father, aunt or uncle, or whose husband will never hold his newborn child. The spouse who will never see his or her spouse again, and the parents who will never see their sons and daughters again. We must remember. And as we remember today, we dedicate this Gold Star Byway marker to honor all families whose loved ones made the ultimate sacrifice while serving in our U.S. Armed Forces, defending the United States of America. It is with pride and appreciation the National Garden Clubs, Inc. and the Garden Club of Georgia, Incorporated joins with the Ball Ground Garden Club, Annette Sagada, to perpetuate the Gold Star Marker program with this Gold Star Families Byway marker that stands as a symbol of honor, hope, healing for all Gold Star families. And we proudly present this certificate from the National Garden Clubs to Ball Ground Garden Club Annette Sagada on the occasion of the Gold Star Families marker dedication. We thank and commend you for giving tribute to the Gold Star families whose loved one paid the ultimate price defending the United States of America. Honor, hope, and healing.
Thank you, ladies, so much. I can't tell you honestly what touched me more. Miss Jenkins, that was so beautiful. And of course, the bagpipes played my grandmother's favorite song. So, but we're so pleased and honored. And now we're going to have our wreath presentation by Miss Carolyn Cagle, Treasurer, Department of Georgia American Gold Star Mothers, mother of Lance Corporal John Cagle, U.S. Marine Corps, assisted by Philip Gassman, Boy Scout and Life Scout.
Thank you, everybody. You're invited to a reception down here. We have some food. We also have the Gold Star and Blue Star markers that are unveiled now. And anybody has any questions about the Botanical Garden, all the workers at the Botanical Garden, all the ladies here and gentlemen, have a gold nameplate. They'll be glad to answer any question for you.
Thank you once again, everybody, for all our speakers, for everyone that came today. Please come and join us. The Ball Ground Tavern has graciously donated some refreshments for us. If you'd like to come down and join us, take pictures of the garden, have any questions, please let us know. And again, thank you all so very much for coming.